of you for this 37th edition of Samvatsar lecture, and in which we invite distinguished personality from various any walk of life, and they will deliver a lecture on a topic which is of high meritorious literary value. And today is with us Mr. Justice Dipak Misra, former Chief Justice of India. I request President Sahitya Academy to felicitate Justice Mishra. I request Secretary Sahitya Academy Dr. K. Srinivasa to deliver the welcome address.
Namaskar and good evening to all of you. Respected Justice Sri Dipak Misra ji, former Chief Justice of India, Sri Madhav Kaushik ji, President Sahitya Academy, Professor Vishnath Prasad Tiwari ji, fellow and also former President of Sahitya Academy, all the scholars and eminent personalities assembled here, and friends. I'm glad to welcome all of you for the 37th edition of Samvatsar lecture to be delivered by Honorable Justice Dipak Misra ji on the topic Myths from the Ancient Epics and Texts, Modern Interpretation Having Nexus with Law and Life. These are annual lectures where the Academy would invite a distinguished scholar to talk about subjects that reflect a deep concern for value or about a literary trend or a great classic or about any such topic that would open up new vistas of thinking. We have been fortunate to get so many great minds to deliver these lectures and privileged to listen to golden words of wisdom from them. Truly, these great minds have opened up new vistas of thinking, inspired many to venture into newer paths, and have helped us in learning more. Some of the scholars who have graced this platform in the past are S.H. Vatsayan Agyaya, K.R. Srinivas Iyengar, K. Sivaram Karan, Vinda Karandikar, Sitakan Mahapatra, Nirmal Verma, M.T. Vasudevan Nayak, Vijay Tendulkar, C.D. Narasimhaya, U.R. Anantamurthy, Amitav Ghosh, Girish Karnad, Manoj Das, S.L. Bhairappa, Ramachandra Guha, Shashi Tharoor, Professor Vishnath Prasad Tiwari ji, who is also present here today with us, and Sri Pranab Mukherjee. We are grateful to all of them. For the paucity of time, I have just mentioned only a handful of names. Today, Justice Dipak Misra ji will talk about the subject I already mentioned, myths from the ancient epics and texts, modern interpretation having nexus with law and life. Friends, myths of every era represent collective aspirations of the society. They are the descriptions of various seminal events, magnificent deeds of gods and goddesses, heroes among human beings, natural events, and so on. Just because they are passed on in the form of tales and many of them are ancient in time does not count them to be dismissed with disdain that many modern people tend to do. Such an approach highlights the ignorance of what myths and how myths are processed, received, and interpreted in each era. Justice Sri Dipak Misra ji served as the 45th Chief Justice of India prior to his elevation as Judge of the Supreme Court of India. He had served as the Chief Justice of Patna and Delhi High Courts and as Judge of Madhya Pradesh and Odisha High Courts. He has delivered landmark judgments involving human rights, civil liberties, gender justice, freedom of expression, and citizenry rights. He has decided the 124-year-old Kaveri River dispute, live streaming of Court proceedings, Nirbhaya gang rape case, passive euthanasia and discrimination of homosexuality. Justice Misra has four anthology of poetry to his credit, namely Anagha Kemiti Honta and Radhe Uvacha and Mu Aswadhama Kahuchi, with the last two having English translations as well. Like all of you, I'm also eager to listen to Justice Dipak Misra ji. Now, sir, first you will deliver your lecture, and thereafter, if time permits, we will have a interaction with the assembled audience for 10-15 minutes. Over to Justice Dipak Misra ji.
Dr. Kashyap, the President of the Academy, Dr. Srinivas Rao, Secretary of the Academy, ladies and gentlemen. Initially, I thought I will talk to you. Later on, I changed my mind. It's advisable to read the lecture and sometimes pause for a while and explain. I must admit, without any kind of reservation, that I am extremely honored, pleased, and privileged to be your midst to give this Samvatsar lecture organized by Sahitya Academy. I am absolutely conscious that I am addressing a highly cultured gathering who has tremendous intellect and also are engaged in crucial scrutiny of any writing, or for that matter, anything that is spoken about literature or linked with it. This thought impels me to take the path of humility, keeping in mind what Simon Weil has said in the intellectual order. The virtue of humility is nothing more nor less than the power of attention. I would request you to inform what this statement means and why do I quote here. I speak here, ladies and gentlemen, with Lincolnian humility, ostracizing all kinds of intellectual conceit and getting wedded to the Athenian spirit and posturite idea of friendship, despite the age. When I talk about myths, I do not mean how they stand in contradistinction to reality. It's also not the way they have been used by George Bernard Shaw or T.S. Eliot. I have adopted a conjoint concept of character and incident, or to put it differently, event and action. Many thinkers feel there should be continuous endeavor to decodify the structure and meaning of myths so that they constantly remain friendly with our sensibility. I do not intend to project them in the same manner, although I have no disagreement with the said approach. I have endeavored to harp on the saying that incredulity is the foundation of philosophy, and if one applies the principle or the method of hermeneutics to scrutinize the philosophy, one is likely to telescope the events and perceive them on the bedrock of some modern legal framework, philosophy of life, accentuation on metaphor, and elevated psychoanalytical perspective. Myths may depict didactism, sacrifice, ethicality, living for a principle, individual agony, anguish of human soul, human relationships, and for that matter, I emphasize sweet disturbance. I need to clarify another aspect. The concepts of ancient epics and conception of text have no chronological or specific reference in my speech. They are fundamentally event interest centric. I repeat, event interest centric and also potentially have understandable legal connectivity and attract the pulse of sympathy and empathy towards the characters from many a spectrum. One may feel I have made an attempt to carry out a psychoanalytical scrutiny on the bedrock of present law without recognizing the prevalent armor of practice in that era. But I have applied the measure of intellectual interest and meaningful imagination. No one should conceive that there is an approach of an anatomist. I am not a doctor. I am not an anatomist. I am not going to dissect, but I am trying to invoke the intellectual interest in you. It's only a pleasant drive to a universe of sensibility, nothing more, nothing less. Let me first focus on the story of Ekalavya, a young boy from the lower strata of society approaches Guru Dronacharya to learn the art and craft of Shastra Vidya, especially archery, and acquire knowledge in that field. Dronacharya had been hired, I use the word hire, by Pitama Bhishma to teach and train Pandavas and Kauravas. As he was engaged to teach the royals, he declined to impart knowledge to Kalabja, a young boy, I would say, an obstinate youth who was hungry for knowledge. In order to have mastery over the art of archery, built a statue of Dronacharya and learned with devotion. He had the prowess to stop animals from shouting by shooting arrows. Dronacharya, as the narration proceeds, came to know about Ekalabja and his command over archery. He met Ekalabja with the royal principles, coming to know from Ekalabja that he had learned the art from Dronacharya and seeing the statue, he in quite promptitude asked for Guru Dakshina as per the prevalent tradition. The asking, please mark my words, the asking if I metamorphose was Himalayan and the giving was also Everestine. Guru desired his right thumb to be given, and the Shishya cut and gave it without a moment's hesitation. The story has many an interpretation relating to royalty, loyalty, devotion to teacher, and the process of elevation of Ecologia as a character in the graphic epic. And all this takes place with shifting empathy. The seminal question, the pivotal question, ladies and gentlemen, according to me, is did Dronacharya really ask Eklavya to cut his right thumb in the literal sense? Did Eklavya obey the command and cut the right thumb, making his life useless? Let's interpret and understand the scene in the modern context where you are sitting, where I am standing in the 22nd century, 21st century. The whole incident can be appreciated with studies scrutiny from the perspective of intellectual property law. True it is, such law was not in existence when the epic was written, but the intention is to put the incident in the context of the present era. Ecology violated what is called the facet of intellectual property law. Take the example. Now I'm going to the legal sphere. Take the example A or X. A person imparts knowledge with a new concept to a group of people. His friend B or Y acknowledge the learning and ask A that would you teach me? Would you impart the knowledge to me? A refuses. Despite the refusal, B tries his level best to acquire it and does acquire it. This is, in today's context, is violation of intellectual property law. And Ecologia violated that intellectual property law. And Dronacharya did not ask him, cut the thumb and give it to me. He issued an order of injunction that Ecologia, you can never utilize this knowledge. You are hereby injuncted. And Ecologia, as you know, followed it. Thus analyzed, Ecologia obeyed the command of the Guru and accepted his whole life. Some assert Dronacharya is great. Look at the logic. Dronacharya is great because he elevated the position, the character of Ecologia in Mahabharata. He's a small character, but he made him really grand in that great epic. I absolutely disagree with it. According to me, a person who obeys the law is greater than the person who commands. Obedience to law is a perception of civilized society, and that is why it is said in a civilized society, less law is required. And in this context, I am reminded of Socrates. Socrates was punished to drink hemlock by the Athenian assembly. His disciples asked him, Mr. Socrates, leave this country, go away. Socrates said, no, I don't intend to leave. I want to be here. I want to face the sentence. I want to drink the hemlock. Why? Law of the country has to be obeyed by the citizen. That's the principle Socrates taught, and that is what precisely Ecologia followed, and that is why he is a greater position. It's not Dronacharya who made him great. His deed made him great. Let us come to another incident. We are in Mahabharata. Now let's come to Ramayana. All of you know the episode of Hanuman. He comes in search of Sitaji to Sri Lanka, and whatever he does in Ashoka Vatika after finding out Sitaji. That's quite true to his nature. He kills Ravan's youngest son, is brought to the Darbar of Ravan, self-captured, volition, and the king orders, kill this monkey, burn it. At that point of time, ladies and gentlemen, no one protests, barring Vibhishan. I am not praising Vibhishan. As students of literature, please do not mistake me. I am only commenting on his act. He said, O king, do not do this. It's not done because according to Dharma, you are not supposed to kill an ambassador or an emissary of another sovereign. This can be connected. Look, you see the what is knowledge? Knowledge is only connected. All of you are highly intellectual people. I am not supposed to tell you how to connect. I am only telling you that look, ladies and gentlemen, I have understood some connections and I am trying to share it with you in my humble way. This can be connected with 1961 Vienna Convention, which lays down that immunity has to be given to ambassadors or diplomats. The said immunity falling in the realm of public international law was conversed by Vibhishan in a different way to Ravan. The concept can be seen from another angle, another spectrum. You see, in court, sometimes the courts appoint an amicus curiae who fights the case for the man who is not defended or assists the court. Division was acting as the amicus curiae while he was defending Hanuman, and he was telling him the dharma because Ravan was the adjudicator as well as the executive. Who will tell him dharma? It's only an amicus. And division, that is why is regarded as the world's first amicus curiae. That is the legal principle. Let's go back to Mahabharata again. Devabrata, young, younger version name of the original name of Vishma, son of Ganga. He had taken a vow not to marry, only to meet the unexpected grief of Satyavati's father. The sacrifice on the part of son of Santanu was singularly to please his father and make him happy in spite of the fact that the father had fallen prey to the unsatiated desire reflecting the pinnacle of hedonism, like the saying, Javam jive, sukham jive, hidam kritva, dutam jive. Similarly, Santanu was leading a life, and Bhishma gave that kind of a praise. Yes, X, Y, Z, eventually I will not marry. What did the father do? That's what matters. The father gave him a bone of Icha Muttu. Icha Muttu, what is Icha Muttu? Let's compare it with the modern concept of euthanasia. Euthanasia, as a word, it comes from Greek, but the prevalent in India by judgment law is passive euthanasia. All of you are entitled to make a will that I will not be availing this treatment because this will not keep me alive, but will torture me. I don't want to suffer. I want to die with dignity. I cannot commit suicide. Nobody can. Active euthanasia is forbidden in India, but passive euthanasia is permissible, and that is Ikshabhuttu, as I understand. You may ask me, why did Bhishma suffer Sarasajya? That was his choice. Choice Bhishma go into Sarasaya. That was his choice, which is a different kind of life. You see, the essence of meaningful life is to throw away the thought that life is a valued vapor, or for that matter, it is singularly meant to be lived in the process of hedonism. You have to believe in Tennyson. I know there are many students of English literature, and most of you have read English literature, I assume. Tennyson says, look at the line, no life that beats with human breath has ever truly longed for death. No life. Nobody treats life to be a mushroom. Nobody treats life to be a vapor. All that is philosophy. In reality, in actuality, in practicality, all of us want to live. And that is why, in the most beautiful and touching words, John Dryden writes, when I consider when I consider life, it's all a trick you pulled with hope. Men favor the deceit. You know you are being cheated, but you have the hope. You love to be deceived because you want to live. You don't intend to die. In this context, I may just write this. What is hope? Someone tells beautifully. Hope is a good food for breakfast. Hope is good for breakfast. Hope is okay for lunch. But hope is extremely bad for dinner. You just can't go on living on hope. Do something. That's what the person tries to convey. Now, the court pronouncement, Mr. Rao referred to the judgment in a different way. Now, let's connect it with the Bhishma. Bhishma's desire to be on the bed of arrows, despite the boon from his father, has a different connotation. That was expression of his choice, his desire, and he knew what he was doing. The thrust of the matter is that Ichamritu was a boon of the highest order in India. And presently in India, as I have already told you, everyone is able to make a will subject to certain conditions, of course. Now, let's go to another incident. I hope I'm able to connect it with the law. I need not narrate the details. It is well known that Duryodhan has crowned Karna or Radha as the king of Anga. He at that time knew that Karna was only the son of a charioteer. Duryodhana, as certain narrations mention, had sympathy for Ekalavya. Speaking, speaking in modern constitutional terms, all of you are aware of the constitution and must be knowing certain principles. Both the actions of Duryodhana are relatable to the principles of inclusiveness. Inclusiveness, the constitution, the provisions and the jurisprudential acceptance, the social acceptance are different. Like though law accepts there should be inclusiveness, Duryodhana accepts Kanna, that he is the king of Anga, but the greats like Bhishma, Drona, and Kripacharya, and some others, they don't accept Kanna. Similarly, even today's world, though the doctrine of inclusiveness, though the principle of inclusiveness is there, enumerated by the judgments in the Constitution on Articles 15, 3, 4, and 5, yet the society in entirety does not accept. It's a sad, sad story. And that is why Karna cries aloud in the night. What he says, there is a poem, I just read it before you, 6, 7 lines. I am burned in darkness, and my life is the boiling water of Tapta Vaitarani, and it will end in deep darkness, sans identity, sans soft touch, sans light. One has to be. Please mark this sentence, I request you, ladies and gentlemen. One has to be with Radha to understand Kanna. If you part company with Radha, your life may pass away. You may read 1,000 books. You cannot understand the character of Kanna. Now, let's come to the concept of real hermeneutics. I hope all of you know the meaning of the word hermeneutics, which means an interpreter, fundamentally. The beauty of hermeneutics is that it can lead the mind on the path of kinetic imagination. All of us talk about silent imagination. I am discussing kinetic imagination. Imagination, to appreciate its marrow, one may tempted to quote Lord Byron. Please listen to the lines. The mind can make substance and people planets of its own, with beings brighter than have been and give, a break to forms which can outlive all flesh. That's Byron for you. And that is what hermeneutics can do. That is what interpretation can do. With this, let me take you to the war field of Mahabharata. Prior to the war, Kunti goes and reveals to Kanna, Radhe, that he should not fight the war as he was her son. Kanna declines, having regard to the friendship and obligation with Duryodhana, but assures Kunti that he would not kill Yudhishthira, Bhima, Nakula, and Sahadev. He had promised that the fight would be restricted and Arjun and him. When the war is being fought, Karna defeated 4 of them and allowed them to go. Yudhishthira, feeling humiliated and insulted, retires his tent. At that point of time, Lord Krishna and Arjuna come and inquire about his condition and ask and that what was wrong. We gather that Karna misbehaved with you. Yudhishthira gets angry. He scolds. While scolding, he also abuses Gandiva. And Arjuna had taken a vow that anyone who will speak ill or evil of Gandiva, he will eliminate him. At that time, he takes out a sword and tries to go and kill Yudhishthira. But Lord Krishna says, no, you don't have to kill him. You don't have to extinguish life because there are various types of killing. A man's, a man's reputation is dented, he is dead. He's not alive. So you scold Duryodhana, you scold Yudhishthira, and tell him whatever he has done bad deeds in his life, so that he will feel worse than dead. And Arjuna does exactly that. Now, I'm talking about reputation, mental reputation, and mental torture. The key word here is reputation. What does the quote say? We have to connect it with the Lord, and life I will come. Supreme Court says, quoting, one who possesses fame alone does live. One who has good praise does alone live. One who has no fame and negative praise is equal to one who is dead while alive. You see, the apex court and the Supreme Court has produced two lines from Bible. Look at the Bible. A gentle tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness in it breaks the spirit. No one desires human spirit to be shattered. Shakespeare, I have a little prejudice towards Shakespeare. I love him too much. He says, the purest treasure mortal times offer in spotless reputation, that way, men are but gilded loam or painted clay, a jewel in a 10 times part of chest, is a bold spirit in a royal breast. Come back to the conventions. Article 19 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights lays emphasis on reputation. In another judgment, a man was tortured, a doctor. Let's not go to the facts of the case, I have to tell you the analogy. It has been said, humiliation that has been meted out to him, the doctor, is quite capable of destroying the heart of the philosophy. It has been said that philosophy has the power to sustain a man. Dronacharya, who had committed an extremely cruel and cowardly act for which he was cursed by Lord Krishna to remain immortal and suffer. That was one of the gravest punishments for him. He cries aloud. What Ashottama says in a poetry it has been stated. Some say Rathi Ashottama is reborn from moment to moment to in full flesh and blood. There is no scope to know the difference between life or death, and there is no possibility of Father stretching his hand and holding him in the mid-sky. The Father cannot reach, or Sattama cannot go. In that dilemma, in that situation, lives the man of Sattama today. He further says, and I mean all for you. I am absolutely certain that I have birth but no death. In the wide world, I am alone, all alone. He is alone because of the curse. In contradistinction, man is not alone. He may announce, solitude is my singular company. Solitude is my singular company. But in reality, he really searches for company. All of us are here because we love each other's company. Maybe known, maybe unknown. Sometime, one day. Now, every day you hear law is supreme. Now let's go to Mahabharata, let's understand. Let's, it may not be a myth, but it's a story in a different way. In a civilized society, law has its supremacy. Thomas Fuller says that whatever the position, law has to reign first. Supreme Court in Bhajanlal, the former Chief Minister of Haryana, they quote Sir Edward Coke, who has said, "The king is under no man, but under God and law," was the reply of the Chief Justice of England, Sir Edward Coke, when James I once declared that I am to be under the law. It is present to affirm it. But Edward Coke stood by his stand. Now, keeping this in mind, let's understand Karna's character. I talked about Kunti. Again, I am talking about Lord Krishna in a different way. Lord Krishna, sometimes it puzzles me. He approaches Karna that you are a panda, you don't hide the word, change sides. Karna says, I cannot be oblivious to my obligations to Duryodhan. I do not intend to be understood as a Kaunteya. This is my version. You see why? If we go on analyzing deeply, we will find Karna was a Kaunteya alone. Karna may not be a Pandava. I am using the word may not be. But however, he assures Lord Krishna that in this field of war, O Krishna, O Kesava, Dharma will have the victory. And he says, for the first time in Mahabharata, Jato Dharma, Tato Jaya. That's the sovereignty of law. That is the sovereignty of Indian Constitution today. today. And you see, many people associate this with Gandhari. Gandhari speaks this for the second time in Mahabharata. That's the second, when she speaks the second. When Duryodhan was about to get the blessing from Gandhari, she said, Tato Dhammo, Tato Jaya. Now, I have two interesting incidents from India, and I would request you to forget the law of gratitude. Those were here. The grammar of language and enter into the realm of imagination and unshakable fidelity, singularly opting for temporal delight. I am sitting here, I would like to enjoy. That should be the motto. It is because Thomas Merton says the beautiful lines. The imagination is a discovering faculty, a faculty for seeing relationships, for seeing meanings, and are special and even quite new. I would only request you, please enjoy newness in nowness. Not when I am speaking. Wherever you are, enjoy newness in nowness. You see what happened? Vyasadeva, while before writing Mahabharata, he requested Lord Ganesh that please write the book for me. Ganesh imposed a condition that I will write, but you should not stop dictating. Vasudev also put a condition, right? But you should not write unless you understand it. Both have accepted the conditions. The work being complete, now Mahabharata is there, all of us are reading it. It is to be understood that both live up to their obligations. The central question that emanates is how would one understand and interpret the story in today's scenario. I understand the story as an exposition of humility. Neither Ganesh was egotistic, nor Vasudeva was an egoist. Both of them were humble. How there was no involvement of any perpendicular I or Iism. Why do I say perpendicular I? When you write I, it is perpendicular. That is egoism. Neither Ganesh nor Vasudeva, and I already said, are egoism. Both were wise and great, and they knew that a grand human story was being written for posterity. Therefore, each accepted the other's condition and showed their humility. The value of humility is evident from this aphorism. You see, there is a book which is called aphorism. Every quotation stands with it. It's very interesting reading. I would suggest whoever has not read to get the book. There is aphorism by Ted Turner. It reads thus: If I only had a little humility, I would be perfect. I repeat the sentence. If I only had a little humility, I would be perfect. Another concept can also be visualized from this story. A wise man knows and acknowledges that he commits mistakes and appreciates if anything is spoken by him is flawless. Vasudeva was certain that once Lord Ganesh understood the meaning, it would be far from being faulty. There was no hurry on either part. Possibly they anticipated the following proverb: if you are in a hurry, you will never get anywhere. And that is the mistake in today in many people's part. Never be in a hurry. Even you have to walk 5 lines, walk at a space, you will reach where you intend to reach. If you run, you may not reach. And this is a myth on didactism. Now there is another story relating to Ganesh and Kartikeya. There was a competition between the brothers who can go around the world first. Kartikeya got on his vehicle, went around the world. Ganesh exercised his instinctual intelligence and went around the parents. And he claimed, yes, they are the creators. I have gone around the universe. You might think, why tell this small story to us? What I am trying to understand from this, Kartikeya tried to collect the data and applied the data, used a vehicle that is fundamentally artificial intelligence. And what did Kartika did? Kartika used human intelligence, human thought, human prowess. That it conveys, and I still maintain, artificial intelligence is good. It can use it, but remember, it is the human intelligence always has the priority and is superior than artificial intelligence. Let's travel beyond home. Let's go to the Greeks. You see, the Greeks have the great myths that have enriched the world. Let me scan the story of Sisyphus, a character in Homer's Iliad. He has been cursed of his cruel act to carry a heavy boulder to the top of a hill, only to witness that it rolls down. He has again to carry it up to the top. The act is going on and eternally shall go on. I must immediately clarify that myth has nexus with life, although the phrase Sisyphean endeavor is utilized and used by the judges to express the idea and exercise in futility. But let me appreciate from the prismatic perception of life. It has many a meaning. Some treat it as a symbol of existentialism. Some regard it as a manifestation of cynicism. Some, quite differently, add a smile on the face of Sisyphus and sing the song of optimism. Sisyphus is cursed. He has nothing to achieve, no purpose, no meaning. He even cannot die. Death may be an end of characters like Vladimir and Estano of Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot. They just exist. Sisyphum from another spectrum symbolizes life. Time may be cruel, but life has moments, hours, days, months, maybe years, which are beautiful and lovely. In a routine living, man has the ability to feel, I have already said, nowness in newness. That is achievement. Looking at a lark that is life, listening to a nightingale is delight, saying grow on is seeing the universe. A single story exposes everything. That is what myth of Sisyphus is. And I have a different interpretation of Pygmalion. I know many may not agree with me, but tolerate my understanding. As students of literature, you are obliged to tolerate. You see, I'm a student of 21st century. The anatomical story and psychoanalytical standpoint. Pygmalion, being not satisfied with the created beauty created by the creative intelligence in the world, creates a statue of beauty or a beautiful statue, whom he eventually marries as goddess Venus, brings the statue to life. The goddess had answered the prayer of the sculptor, Pygmalion. Psychologically speaking, a child falls in love with a toy that belongs to him or her. In a way, he gets obsessed, but the beauty of life in a child can forget, or he can be distracted. Pygmalion is obsessive and a grown-up man and has a peculiar attitude. His search for belonging is higher than possessiveness. The beauty of it is really cannot inject life into the statue because it is only the creative force that can inject life. In a way, his condition, as I perceive, is pathetic and he is cynical. While not accepting the beauty of the world, he prays to the goddess. There is ambivalence in the thinking. I see in him a tragic-comic character in search of his creative self. From another angle, Pygmalion seems to be a person condescending to women. I think no women will tolerate it today. In the modern world, he may be treated as a person having no gender sensitivity. In this regard, I am reminded of a saying by Jane Carlyle. Jane Carlyle was the wife of Thomas Carlyle. Look at the saying. If if I had another life in any of the planets, I shall take precious good care not to hang myself around any man's neck, either in a locket or a milestone. I don't want to be an ornament to a man, but Pygmalion wants an ornament. Pygmalion, as it seems, wanted the beautiful wife to be projected as a trophy. It is a perverse psychology as well as pathetic. Now, everything has to come to an end, and I have a process to it. In the beginning, I had expressed my delight. I have imagined my speech. Believe me, I have imagined my speech by traveling in the sphere of figurative tourism. With all the humility, I must admit that I have been impelled to connect nostalgia and eternity. I fondly recollect few lines from Louis Klopp, who was awarded Nobel Prize in 2020. Look at the touching lines. Then, then suddenly came the sun, it was shining, and time went on. Even when there was almost none left, and the perceived became the remembered, and the perceived became the remembered, the perceived. I hold my memory. In quintessentiality, I can say that I have spent some time, believe it, ladies and gentlemen, as student of literature, you have to doubt, but sometimes you have to believe some man. Believe it, I have spent some time with the characters in my imaginations, in my own way, and taken their permission to speak to you. And if this is a myth, please endure it or scrutinize it. And eventually, despite the disturbance in life, I have observed you have shown absolutely rare, courteous presence. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Friends, if you have any questions, we read and the questions should be on the lecture only, not other than that. So, so be very brief, and we will have only 5 to 10 minutes. That's all. This is make this अपना नाम बताइए उसके बाद आपका प्रश्न क्या है वही पूछिए लेकिन आप ये जरूर लिमिट रखिएगा कि लेक्चर के अंदर का ही होना चाहिए
Yeah, sir. My name is Dr. Sarjeet Dudeja. Your lecture was almost focused around Mahabharata. Your lecture was around Mahabharata relation with Indian justice system. But in our milieu and in our culture, we love to have Ram Rajya. So you hardly related with Ram Rajya or Ramayana. So can you share some thoughts about Ram Rajya or Ramayana with your lecture?
There is a ruling from that side. You see, Ajay, I have given one example from Ramayana because that touched me. And there are many incidents, but a speaker always tells those incidents which appeal to him, get into his heart. Mahabharat has many such incidents which really can be decodified. Supposing tomorrow, I'm giving an example like Angada. You know Angada? Bali's son. He was sent as an emissary from Lord Rama. Ravan did not ask him to sit down, did not offer him a seat, but he was an emissary. What did Angada do? Angada called his tail, made an asan and sat down like a king. Yes, we are equal. Let's talk, Ravan. You see, equality, if not conferred, there should be an attempt and effort to acquire equality. That is what Angad has shown. I could have said this, but how many I can say? I have limited time. Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. Namaskar, sir. Sir,
No, please give on a
sir. Yes, I'm here, sir.
See,
Yes.
I talked about gender justice.
No, after me, she will ask.
No, on the contrary.
Okay.
नहीं नहीं नो कंसेशन अरे माइक दो
Sir, although you have hinted very nicely about curse and Ashirvad and all, nowadays, and you have talked about Ashwathama, but mostly people say कि अश्वत्थामा आज भी भूत बन करके रह रहा है, ये है वो, इस तरह की बहुत सी बातें सुनने को मिलती हैं. So, what is these kind of things, legal existence or real existence, in your opinion?
नो नो आपने बीच में क्या बोला मैडम आई कुड नॉट हियर दैट
मैंने ये कहा कि आपने आशीर्वाद
नहीं,
और कर्ज वगैरह या जो भी है उनकी एक तरह से बहुत अच्छी व्याख्या की है, पर आज भी बहुत सारे ऐसे साहित्य वगैरह में ये मिलता है कि आपने अश्वत्थामा पर क्योंकि बहुत लिखा है और द्रोणाचार्य वगैरह के पक्षों को बहुत अच्छी तरह व्याख्यायित किया है, तो लोग कहते हैं कि आज भी अश्वत्थामा भूत बन करके रह रहा है, आज भी अश्वत्थामा की एग्जिस्टेंस है. तो एक कानूनविद होने के नाते आप इस तरह के पक्षों को व्यक्तिगत रूप से या कानूनी और यथार्थ रूप में किस तरह देखते हैं?
जी ये तो मैंने बिगिनिंग में बोला ना ठीक आई कुड नॉट हियर लिसन टू एनीवे हिंदी में बोलूं ना इंग्लिश में बोलूं अच्छा ठीक है मुझे कोई एतराज नहीं इसे मैंने बिगिनिंग में बोला कि मैं कल्पना से बोल रहा हूं इन सबको मिल के आया हूं वो भी भावना में कल्पना में अश्वत्थामा है कि नहीं है वो एक कल्पना की बात है मां ऐसे तरह का आदमी को ऐसा दंड मिलना चाहिए देखिए आदमी 100 साल कोई जिएगा उसके बाद उसका जिंदगी के प्रति क्या भावना आएगा हम नहीं बता सकते जो जीता है सोचता है अरे क्या जी के क्या करूं एवरी ऐसे 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 तो उसने भगवान ने उसे जो भी किस्मत है वो उन्होंने दे दिया अभिशाप जीते रहो लिविंग समटाइम्स कैन बी अ पनिशमेंट यस सॉरी
जी नमस्कार सर, मैं डॉक्टर विनोद तिवारी हूँ और अंग्रेजी का प्राध्यापक और लेखक हूँ. हिंदी मातृभाषा है तो मैं भी हिंदी में प्रश्न पूछ रहा हूँ. महोदय, सबसे पहले आपका अभिनंदन है. आपका जो व्याख्यान बहुत ही विद्वतापूर्ण रहा, अभिनंदन है. महोदय, आपने जो एकलव्य और द्रोणाचार्य का जो संदर्भ है जो कि बहुत ही लोकप्रिय है और बहुत चर्चा किया जाता है, हाँ बहुत ही चर्चित है, श्रीमान उसके संदर्भ में एक सूडो नैरेटिव है, फॉल्स नैरेटिव है। वो क्या है, मिथ्या विमर्श फैलाया गया है। गुरु द्रोणाचार्य ने श्रीमान, ये कहा जाता है कि अंगूठा मांग लिया एकलव्य से, और ये कथा सब लोग जानते हैं उसकी क्या कथा है। सो मैं ये कहना चाहता हूं कि ओरिजिनल जो संस्कृत का जो स्क्रिप्ट है महाभारत का वेद व्यास के द्वारा, उसमें यह संदर्भ है श्रीमान कि द्रोणाचार्य एकमात्र ये कहना चाहते थे कि तुम अर्जुन के साथ प्रतियोगिता नहीं करोगे, ये मात्र उनका यही कहना था। मैंने ही वाज जस्ट परस्यूइंग हिम नॉट टू कम्पीट विथ अर्जुना। तो उसने जवाब दिया एक प्रतिभागी, एक प्रतियोगी के रूप में कि गुरुजी आप तो ऐसा कह रहे हैं, और इसको संस्कृत में श्रीमान जो पोएटिक ब्यूटी होती है काव्य अलंकार में, इसको उत्प्रेक्षा अलंकार कहते हैं। दिस इज वेरी एकीन टू इंग्लिश में जिसे सिमिली और मेटाफॉर, उपमा अलंकार कहा जाता है। तो उत्प्रेक्षा अलंकार में वो कहता है कि गुरुजी आप तो ऐसा कह रहे हैं मानो हमारा आप अंगूठा ही काट ले रहे हैं। माने गुरु ने कभी उसके अंगूठा काटने की बात नहीं कही है। ओरिजिनल संस्कृत का यह श्लोक कहता है श्रीमान, लेकिन इसको ऐसा बताया गया कि गुरु जी ने अंगूठा काट लिया, और 5000 वर्षों से सारे विद्वान लोग और तथाकथित लोग गुरु द्रोणाचार्य को गालियां देते रहे श्रीमान जी। तो विद्वानों से आग्रह है कि सही संदर्भ में चर्चा की जानी चाहिए। आप एक विद्वान
हैं, समझ गया। देखिए आपने जो कहा, आई शुड नॉट प्रिटेंड कि मैंने संस्कृत महाभारत पढ़ा है, नहीं, मगर मैंने जो इंटरप्रेट दिया कम से कम तो उसको काटने से बंद किया ना। हाँ? उसको तो मैंने काटने से बंद किया कि भाई मैं तुमको मना करता हूं, इसको व्यवहार मत करना। उन्होंने और थोड़ा कम कर दिया था शायद कि अर्जुन के साथ व्यवहार मत करना। अरे अर्जुन के साथ व्यवहार नहीं करेगा तो बाकी सबों के साथ क्या व्यवहार करने से फायदा क्या? नहीं, मैं समझ गया आप। नहीं, आपका अरे ऐसे बात कोई नहीं, आपका बात मैं समझता हूं। ये जो इफ यू आर करेक्ट देन आपको काम करना चाहिए, संस्कृत को करके लिख के उसको अनुवाद करना चाहिए कि ये है। देखिए व्हाट वी, हम लोग क्या करते हैं ना, सबको बोलते ये गलत है, ये गलत है, तो सही क्या है? ट्राई टू फाइंड आउट द ट्रूथ, वो कीजिए काम आप। अगर साहित्य मेरा कोई जरूरत है तो मैं सहायता करने का तत्पर हूं, एज ए स्टूडेंट ऑफ लिटरेचर। एक मिस्टर राम क्या?
My name is, I'm a member of SCB. My name is M.K. Balakrishna. See, while dealing with the question of in relation to vis-a-vis law, vis-a-vis spirituality, I think your honor has, your worship has failed to make a reference of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavad Gita. In chapter 12 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, there is one verse which says, Yasmano dijate loke, yogano dijate jayaha, harsha marsha, bhayot yoge, mukto e sajame priya, which means that a person who does not agitate anybody and who does not get agitated is liked by Krishna. Actually, this could have been the basis of criminal law. Because everything, criminality starts with criminal.
No, किसने लिखा है?
Eh? This is there in Gita, Bhagavad Gita.
नहीं, भगवद गीता में लिखा है ना,
Chapter 12. This is called Bhakti Yoga. It's only 20 verses.
नहीं, कोई बात नहीं, एक मिनट बताते हैं, वो बोलेंगे ना, एक मिनट। देखिए ये मैंने एक जगह कहा था, आप बहुत ज्ञानी लोग बैठे हैं, ये गीता जो है लोग बोलते हैं कि भगवान ने बोला, ये भगवान को हम ऊपर से लाते हैं, मगर कुछ लोगों ने लिखा है सोच के। कृष्ण बोलते हैं गीता में, महाभारत में एक बार, फिर गीता में नहीं। अर्जुन बोलता है सखा मुझे, यू अंडरस्टैंड हिंदी? नो, आई विल स्पीक इन इंग्लिश। Arjuna asked Krishna, "Oh Lord Krishna, please tell me again what you have told me at the war field." Krishna says, at that point of time, I was Yogastha. I mean, now I am not Yogastha, so I cannot tell you. Ascendance. Asc- yeah, yes, ascendance. That is why Krishna Bar says, Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya. Attach, sangam chodo, leave it and do it. How do you do it? By following the doctrine of ascendance. इसलिए वो बोलते हैं कि सेवा करो. किसका सेवा करो? जो ज्ञानी है. इसलिए बोलते हैं तद विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्षन्ति ते ज्ञानम ज्ञानिनः तत्वदर्शिनः. वही, that is the thing. You must, how do you do seva? When you try to aspire to ascend. ठीक है, बैठिए.
सर नमस्कार, मैं डॉक्टर के सिंह, पीएचडी राम मानस है, मैं असिस्टेंट डायरेक्टर हूँ साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी मिनिस्ट्री. यह लॉर्ड कृष्णा भगवत गीता में सबसे बड़ा कार्य साधक मैनेजर के रूप में हमारे सामने दिखाई देते हैं. जैसे 10वें 11वें अध्याय में कृष्ण अर्जुन के मुंह में पांडव पक्ष को और कौरव पक्ष को समाते हुए देखते हैं, उनको दिखाया जा रहा है. और सबका नाम है कुछ लोगों का, कृष्ण, द्रोणाचार्य, पितामह वगैरह वगैरह सब जा रहे हैं, लेकिन अभिमन्यु का नाम वहां नहीं लिखा हुआ. अब घर पे आप देखिएगा कि पांडव पक्ष में जो मर रहे हैं, मरने वाले अभिमन्यु नहीं, वहां लिखा हुआ है.
ठीक है. देखिए,
हर एक चीज को रैशनलाइज के लॉजिकलाइज करना मुश्किल है. ये आप बोलते हैं अभिमन्यु क्यों दिखाई नहीं देता है? अभिमन्यु दिखाई देता है कि नहीं दिखाई देता है, वो बंधन से पता चलेगा ना. उसी टाइम अभिमन्यु को, उसका एक लॉजिक हो सकता है, वो कब दिखता है? युद्ध से पहले. अरे हाँ कि नहीं बोला है ना? युद्ध से पहले, युद्ध के टाइम को अभिमन्यु योद्धा था, मगर इतना बड़ा योद्धा नहीं था कि वो भी नजर आएगा द्रोणाचार्य, भीष्म पितामह, कृपाचार्य, शल्य और सबके साथ. ऐसा नहीं होता है. भगवान जो चाहते हैं, अगर आपने मुझे पूछा, वो जिसको जितना चाहते हैं उतना ही दिखाते हैं. वो दिखा दिए. अभिमन्यु को क्यों दिखाएंगे? उनको दिखाना था, अर्जुन को जो दिखाना था. उसे मैं कोई, आई एम ए रिटायर्ड जज, बट एनी आपने मुझे सब सवाल किया है, बहुत अच्छा लगा. इसी वो हमको मानना पड़ेगा. वी डू नॉट नो एवरीथिंग अबाउट द यूनिवर्स, व्हाई इट इज डन, how far it is done, to what extent it is shown. Sometimes we have to accept, or we should not get into it. You see, everything cannot be explained by our small intellect.
Sir is getting late because you can ask him later when he comes out. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful lecture on myths from the ancient epics and texts, modern interpretation having nexus with law and life. Indeed, myths are the foundations of many social processes and structures, and they get interpreted and applied in life at different points of time, and some consistently strive to deconstruct also. And we are fortunate to host you, sir, this in our Festival of Letters, and it is our privilege to have you in our midst, and we hope to have you in our future programs as well. Sir has already mentioned, invite me in different activities of the academy, because as I already introduced him, is not only former Chief Justice of India, is a eminent writer. He has a four collections of books. He is an eminent poet, which he has proved in his lecture also once or twice he mentioned. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. In spite of your busy schedule, you took trouble to come here and give a wonderful lecture. And thank you so much. Now, it's a convention of the Sahitya Academy that we try to release the lecture at the end of the year. And most of our lectures were released because all eminent personalities, they are all very disciplined, except few. They are also disciplined, of course, but some were spoken very extempore. But Sir has given his lecture well in time to us. We could able to bring out in a book form, which is available in our bookshop for sale. But now we are going to release that book. I request the President Sahitya Academy, Vice President Sahitya Academy, and also our former President and Fellow of Sahitya Academy, Professor Vishnath Tiwari ji, to come on the dais so that we can release the lecture. Sir. And this copy is priced just 25 rupees. So please have copies in our bookshop. Thank you.